So, okay. So I'm excited to learn more about what you guys want to accomplish. On this call, my objective is to see if how, my company Reboot Construction and Dfma.build can be of value to the research that you're doing in the modular space. I'm a big, passionate, fanatic person when it comes to offsite construction, modular, prefab, design for manufacturing assembly. Those are really exciting topics that I've spent many, many years for. But I'd like to learn of, maybe a quick start introduction of everybody and understand your objectives first.
Yeah, sure. So I can start if you want. And so I think I sent you the sort of slide deck, and I can just bring that up as well. So yeah, as mentioned, it's a sort of joint project between University of York, which is sort of myself and Irini, and then Medis with the National Research Council of Canada. So looking at how we can scale. We're a little bit split in the team between sort of timber construction broadly, and then also modular and prefabrication, covering in a more material agnostic kind of way. So in terms of my background, so I'm an architect and passive house designer, and have started this PhD at the beginning of the year. So at the moment, sort of undertaking literature review and sort of trying to build an understanding of the kind of barriers and enablers for modular construction, specifically in Canada, and to understand, where there are opportunities to learn from other countries and what have you, and also to engage closely with sort of industry to understand where, this research can be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Mehdi and Irini, you want to sort of kind of maybe give a little intro.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Hi, so my name is Irene, and I'm a postdoc researcher in the same group as Ali. So my background is more, let's say, oriented towards the material science kind of thing, but I've also got 4 years of experience in life cycle assessment and whole life carbon assessment on materials and buildings. And in the project, I'm looking at the timber and offsite kind of aspects, and understanding also how the forestry stock translates into construction materials in the construction sector in Canada.
Got it.
Thank you. So nice to meet you, Sanjay. My name is Mehdi Iqbali, and I'm from National Research Council of Canada. As is mentioned in the slide, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so mostly interested in heat and mass transfer in buildings and reducing the energy demand in buildings. My research shifted into decarbonization a few years back, so I'm very interested to reducing the operational and embodied carbon in the construction sector, and essentially connecting the findings with the codes in Canada. So another area that we are interested in the National Research Council is increasing the productivity and the speed of the manufacturing process to solve the housing issues in the country.
Got it. I just wanted to clarify, I was seeing a lot of UK sort of context. So is everybody on the team here right here in Canada, or what's the correlation of UK here?
So to give you a little bit of background, the reason, so this project is funded by National Research Council of Canada, and the reason we reached out to Francesco in the first place was because of his experience in the context of the European and the studies that he have conducted on the mid and high modular construction in Europe and in the UK more specifically, and we are looking to transfer some of the knowledge into the Canadian context and understand what barriers we have in Canada and resolve them essentially. So that's why it's a collaborative research project between the Canadian National Research Council of Canada and the University of York.
And that's University of York is based in UK.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was getting confused with Toronto North York University.
No, that's
Is there
correct.
any?
No connection with the York University.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so this makes sense. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So I'm glad we set that context. So, if I may summarize, you're really looking for uh, ways and knowledge to understand of how construction can be expedited, or how you can do cost savings, cost cuttings. What are some of the challenges that are there of that orchestration of on-site, off-site, that most of the developers might have, to be able to adopt modular in a more repeatable manner, if you will. There's a lot of nuances from an energy efficiency perspective, carbon footprint and all that stuff. So you're trying to address a very holistic of the industry, of how finally through this research, gaining knowledges from UK and also Canada, where both these parties have come together, how we can increase more housing and build affordable housing in Canada. Is that the whole objective of this collaboration?
It is part of the objectives of this project, but in the bigger sense, we are also interested to create a data repository, let's say, of for the whole building life cycle assessment of some of the projects in Canada, and creating some archetypes representative of those type of buildings in Canada.
Wonderful. So that's exactly where Dfma.build will dive into that whole platform, and we'll talk about how we're assessing what are the KPI metrics that we're really monitoring and keeping the feet on the ground, if you will, throughout the construction life cycle. So that helps me a lot to be able to understand the context. And the other thing is also, just I'll dive into my background. I used to live in Silicon Valley for 2 decades, and I've just come back to Canada. I'm also Canadian, eh? So now I'm in Milton, Ontario. But while I was there, I was doing a lot of work in the tech world and a lot of interest in real estate. And I bought like 30 homes, raising capital in Silicon Valley. And I fixed and flipped homes on my cell phone, basically. And when I did that, fixing remotely on my cell phone, I had to get all these contractors together. From a foundation perspective, somebody gave me a quote of 30,000, somebody gave me a quote of 15, and I got it done for 3,000. And I had a light bulb go on 10, 12 years ago. I said, what if we were to standardize this and literally build homes like you build software product, basically? What if you were to wear the hat of componentization and start building everything like a Lego piece and orchestrate that, which we do in technology, we're doing a $20 million project on a sprint life cycle. We think about the most common element of, as a user, I want to be able to click a window and open the button, even though the project might be 20 million, but you're trying to do that agile methodology, that thinking and that mindset. And then you're trying to address the minutest activity called user stories in the agile methodology. So the DFMA, this platform came from that sort of thinking of that industrialized construction, the buzzword that is being talked about. We live and breathe in the tech world that entire methodology and framework to be able to address all these different life cycle challenges, and hence we've launched a platform like Dfma.build. So that's the premise, and we'll get into the demo aspect of it. But again, I want to put the camera back onto you guys. If you had something more to be able to share, when I get into the demo of that Dfma.build, I'd be able to focus more on your objectives and some more type of things. So do you have other things, Ellie or Mehdi or Irene, that you wanted to share? Or would you like me to just jump into the Dfma.build platform?
Just one thing maybe to highlight, that the interest of this project is really to kind of understand how these strategies, these systems would work for mid to high-rise buildings. So how to scale up the systems, what challenges really arise when we look at high-rise buildings. And so that would be also a kind of perspective that we would like to apply there.
Excellent. You're speaking music to my ears.
Yeah.
You're almost leading me to what I've been dreaming, and that's what this platform does. Componentizes orchestration of on-site, off-site, and high-rise. And as a matter of fact, it's a great advocate for high-rise or mid-rise buildings, if you will, of how this whole thing gets orchestrated. So certainly I'll touch upon that. And also the other part, maybe from a missing middle perspective, I'm focused a lot on the crawl, walk, and run, and I'll tell you why. Because I've been researching this industry for 12 years. I interviewed 800 architects in the world to understand of how, what are the different technologies you can do to do affordable housing, right from creating a SIP factory. If you guys are familiar with SIP, structural insulated panels. When I was in California, I helped someone build an entire factory where that whole, that city Paradise was burned down. 15,000 homes that were just gutted because of fire. So one of the Canadian architects, I helped her build a factory, SIP factory in Paradise, in that city itself. And she built about 150 homes using that SIP factory. A nightmare, she couldn't sustain, there wasn't profitability, and they shut down the operation. Then I looked at 3D printing, basically. The guys out of Texas, Icon, doing a lot of 3D printing. I went to Hyundai guys that were there that are building these 3-floor 3D printing. What I found there is that there's a lot of noise only around the shell building. It's still not addressing the entire end-to-end value proposition from a holistic perspective. Yes, you can build a shell, but what do you do beyond that type of thing? And integration of other components, MEP, you have bathroom pods, kitchen pods. So there's a lot more to get that finished product. So that wasn't a great idea either. Through this whole exercise, over and over again, the best candidate of approaching this was not just prefab, was not just modular, was just not like on-site stick building. It was this orchestration of industrialized construction and design for manufacturing and assembly. I've attended many webinars, many conferences in this space. People have a lot of slides that they talk about different parts, and there are companies that have started doing that, but didn't really come across someone from a technology standpoint that is orchestrating all these nuances from on-site, off-site perspective, and to be able to show actual KPIs. Where are the dollars being saved? Where exactly is the glitch? How the movement of on-site, off-site construction is happening. And that's what led me to sort of a Dfma.build. Again, I'm going to pause. I'm going to turn the attention back to you guys. Is this making sense? Do you guys have anything from your perspective to be able to add so that when I get into the platform, I'm staying very focused on your objectives, along with some more what we've done on the Dfma side?
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I think it'd be interesting to know in terms of, I don't know how long the website and the reboot has kind of been active, if you've actually had projects kind of going through construction, or what barriers you've kind of come across to that sort of uptake, or whether it's still in that sort of inception phase or what have you. So I think that would be kind of insightful to know of what the issues you've had of expanding this in the market, maybe.
Absolutely. So my quest for building this entire platform comes with a lot of labor of love and domain knowledge, if you will, fixing and flipping homes, and then trying to build an ADU. And I started off on the ADU side. And the reason why I started off on the ADU, I go back to the history. I've been monitoring of the who's who in this industry. And I think Katera was the grandfather that really understood DFMA in a lot of sense, right? I interviewed a lot of senior executives out of Katera. Are you guys familiar with Katera? It was a large venture that was funded by guys who funded Yahoo initially. Billions of dollars were funded, and they were doing in mass timber itself, Katera. So I interviewed a lot of executives out there, and they had understood inherently what it is to build componentization. I think that where they wanted to become the godfather of the whole universe, if you will, of this entire orchestration, they started building factories and components all around the world and taking over the world and building homes like you build like car manufacturers. They succeeded quite a lot. Their ideation of how you do a bathroom pod, how you do a kitchen pod, and things of that. And when I interviewed the executives, what came out of that, they said that initially their vision was very focused. It was to take a fourplex, basically, 4 units, and productize that 4 units around the world as a product, basically. Somewhere down the road, ego catches up. I am God, the God syndrome catches up. I'm going to take over the industry. They went all over the place and led to the demise of the shutdown, if you will. Wanted to buy too much what they could chew. At least that's what I got after interviewing a lot of those guys. So the lessons that I learned was, if you want to really tackle this major problem, do a crawl, walk, and run. Do it with smaller chunks. Do it like as minimal as an ADU. Apply all the DFMA principles for an ADU, basically. Accessory dwelling units, which was hot in California, which is very hot, by the way. Maybe you might know garden suite and laneway housing that has been permitted out here in Canada. The beautiful extension in Canada, the opportunity that I see to be able to take this research, which you guys are doing, and if we were to focus our execution process from either an ADU, like take all the principles of DFMA, inject it into an ADU, as well as the missing middle, where you got the 8 to 12 units, and master all the moving parts out there. And that directly leads to high-rise itself, because those methodologies and those principles would be the same. So hence my focus is a huge on how do you build one ADU, if you will, from a DFMA perspective, and then how do you sort of scale it up to another level. And I'm going to demonstrate, I've done like a complete augmented and virtual reality. I've injected a lot of technology to be able to talk about those DFMAs. And then I will also show you the platform of the DFMA of how it orchestrates and comes together. But again, I'm going to pause. Is this in line with what you've asked, my learnings? And I did go and try to architect and engineer a 2-story, which I will show you in our video, a 2-story building, 1,160 square feet, 3 bedroom, 3 baths, 2 kitchen, but did it in such a way that you can take the modular or panelization side by side, as well as how do you stack it one top of each other. That's a project that I have the engineering and design, which I'm about to share with you guys. But I'm going to pause here. Ellie, is it answering your question, what you've asked?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it'd be good to maybe see what you've found sort of from, it sounds like you've done quite a lot of research into this. I think for us it could be insightful to see what the results of that sort of thing are. So
maybe, or Irene, are we okay? Do you have any other pointers before? Because I want this 10, 12 years is a long, many years of my life. I don't want to go all over the place and talk about the Bible. I want to stay focused on, so that there's synergy. My intent at the end of this conversation is I want to get integrated into what you guys are doing. I want to become a part of what you guys are actually doing. So I want to stay focused. I don't want to leave people overwhelmed and say, okay, I understand those are great concepts, but then we're all overwhelmed and then we focus on our thing. So I want to stay true to our conversation and see synergistic perspectives of how we can collaborate and go to market on one example, if you will. Would that be a fair expectation? Yes, no? Okay. So why don't we jump into the presentation here? So I'm going to show you a few different videos, if you will. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to share the screen. And you can tell me if you can hear the sound or not.
Oh, sorry, I just realized that I was on mute, but we cannot hear us. Oh, we haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I'm playing it now. So this is Dark Knight. It's a two-story
Can you hear it?
window.
Okay.
Can you guys hear it?
Whoa.
I'm going to bring it here. Are you guys able to hear it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like up to scale, like if they're actually walking on the site.
1:1. Yeah, we can go behind somebody's backyard, pop it 1:1. So this is our first bedroom. This is our second bedroom. This is our third, like mod. I would say you see these lines here, they're mods basically. And
Yeah.
so I can go in there. I can pop in. Now I'm inside the bedroom.
Very cool.
So I can go inside the bathroom. So talk about remodeling. You can show people, hey, this is what your bathroom would look like with all the flooring options and all that stuff. It becomes a game changer.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, it can't pick up like tile designs and stuff yet, or can it? Like in the like
Yeah,
you know,
everything. Look at this. Look at this floor.
yeah.
Look at that granularity that you can see and all the tiles and kitchen and all that stuff.
Very nice. Yeah, this is
You can
insane.
You can place all of this stuff. So when you show somebody like this, it will blow the socks off of everybody, because then they can say, no, move this countertop on top, maybe move this hood here, whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, it allows them to fully visualize it.
Visualize the whole thing. And then I can pop here on top. I can come here. Now I'm on the top of the roof. I got another bedroom. This is our Dark Knight. This is our model, actually, 1:1 scale.
Mhm.
So now I'll take you to the technicalities. Look at this technical, my background. Basically what we've done is that it's that 1:1 scale. So this is all the gut job. Like it's almost like Lego pieces. You see this L1, E1, 20. So we can literally panelize and put these Legos together and ship this Lego, and then also have this, all our mechanical, electrical, plumbing here is so clearly designed. You can see how the piping is coming.
Right. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Actually, that's so cool.
Look at this piping, baby. Look at all this plumbing. Any kid can come and say, okay, I see where the plumbing is going, where the bathroom is, the electrical. You see all those electrical. I can go inside. See, I'm underneath now. I'm going to come down. Here, I'm inside. Look at this.
Okay, this is pretty awesome.
Look at all the lighting and everything. So any kid can kind of put it together because there's no mistake. So all our wet walls, I say, okay, complete this whole wet wall right here.
Mhm.
Oops. Yeah, this is my wet wall. You finish all this plumbing, electrical out here, and rest all this framing.
Wow.
Do you see how
Okay, well,
clean designed
Yeah,
it? Like
it looks. Yeah, that plumbing blew my mind. I mean, yeah, it looks. If you could get it so like where your engineering plans are exactly matched to this, it would be crazy.
this is California approved. This is not some diagrams that we've done.
Yeah.
We've spent $250,000 behind this.
Wow.
This is all engineered. It's ready and approved at California standard. And that's why I feel so confident that I just get some trades guys and say, okay, so what I do is I get a quote for, give me a quote on plumbing, right? So if he does a plumbing of one bathroom here, he cannot fool me on another bathroom here.
Yeah.
Do you
Right,
see
'cause
what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you know exactly what it's supposed to be.
So I have broken down this whole construction business to a Lego piece. Give me a code for this damn wall, L1E01. What's it going to cost for you to put these 3 pipes here?
Mhm.
So I could have 2 different plumbers literally competing. And the day like I build these 2 wet walls, it's the same old thing over and over again. Do you know how powerful this mechanism can become?
Extraordinarily, yes. It's just seeing where the money is at for it. Because I mean, what are you gonna, is it going to be sold to consumers? But then the consumers only have a one-time use for it. Consumers aren't renovating multiple, like.
There you go. So you're just kind of shipping, and look at the look and feel, the modern look, the big windows and all
Yeah.
that stuff we put together. It doesn't look like a box at all. So this is our 360 square feet. This is what it would look like. So we paid attention to the technicalities. We paid attention to the look and feel, and we're delivering the product. And then we've got more sexier products also that follow the same principles. This is our wildfire product. Look at this
I
one.
mean, yeah, it looks amazing. I'd love to see the actual product like in person.
Look at
like,
this.
Like,
Look at this product here.
yeah, no, it looks great.
Right?
Kind of looks like my house.
Yeah, but do you see the technicalities behind that,
Yeah.
or how we're using boxes and all the MEPs already done? This is 3 boxes put together and a lot of lipstick on top of it.
Honestly, this is modular. I think modular homes is gonna be the way to go because custom is just way too expensive, and then prefab is gross.
Look at this. Look at this. 3 boxes and the trees, and you made the
Yeah.
staircase. But it's the same MEP, the same engineering. This engineering here,
Yeah.
the geniusness behind the engineering. So no,
It's just
so
fits,
even
and
though
then you just combine the boxes in any way you want.
there you go, there you go, there you go. You got it. You got it. So literally, like, you've got different sizes, different design. This is 3. I'm going to pause here and just invite some questions here. What are your thoughts, like, so far, what you've seen here? Trying to address that whole componentization and how different pieces of the puzzle will sort of come to it from a look and aesthetic perspective, as well as when you start building those different blocks of breaking it down. Any thoughts from your point of view? Ellie, I know that you're a designer. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I just want to make sure that we are kind of aligned on what the objectives and what have you of this are, because I don't want to sort of be talking in different directions or what have you, and it seems like a really interesting product, but I think I just want to be clear that we're sort of we've got sort of a research objective, and so I don't know that at the end of the research we're not going to be sort of trying to put forward a product or anything as a sort of solution as such. So I just I don't want sort of you thinking that I'm not sure sort of what to make sure we've got the same objectives or what have you. It does seem like a really interesting project and product that you've sort of created here. I think our interest is less in the product itself, and more perhaps in what you've had, who you've been discussing that with, and what responses you've had, and what barriers the people or enablers the people to have identified.
Yeah, the reason why I showed this is to set the context of DFMA.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into the DFMA platform now. And once again, my intention is not just to show a product. Product is just an outcome of that approach. But the thinking behind that productization, the thinking behind how do you make it affordable, if you will, right? So whenever I've shown people this, a lot of construction, people who've been in the construction industry, they've been enamored, they've like jumped onto this ideation and wanted to start taking those principles and apply it into their day-to-day construction methodology, if you will. A product is just a framework as an outcome, but what is the thought process? Like, how do you create that wall panel that's standard, that can be distributed amongst more junior tradespeople, and being able to address the labor workforce from that perspective?
Sure.
because you have some standardization in your thought process of how you're bringing this, and is then leading you more towards affordable housing, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So is that, in your sort of thought, is that something that should then be coming more from, I don't know, a kind of government standpoint, is greater standardization in construction, and you know, would that be something that would enable modular sort of construction a bit more, if there was more?
Absolutely. Make the cost of modular construction, and also as I get into the DFMA, I will show you identify the different components or candidates of components that you could actually standardize, and then orchestrate that, whether you want to do panelization or you want to do modular. It's the entire orchestration of how it comes together. This presentation or this mindset was super critical before we get into DFMA, because DFMA is very loosely used. Everybody thinks of DFMA in a different, I mean, people have started using the buzzword industrialized construction and DFMA, but then they boil it down. Okay, I know that's modular. Oh, I know that's prefab. No, DFMA is way more encompassing. That is bottom line, in which I'm going to show you to you on the platform. How are we driving those KPIs and connecting all the different pieces of the puzzle?
Mm-hmm.
Irene, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ali that the product itself there is really awesome. But I was actually thinking, you know, the different maybe you will show it shortly, but the different pieces there that you were showing,
yes,
they come from somewhere. So they come from some modeling and some research that you've done into the different elements. So that, I think that would be what we would be more interested in, that type of data, that type of information, how to kind of collect and organize the different standardized bits.
absolutely.
And yeah, how they're used, you know, all the different information related to that.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah, so for example, you know, you mentioned in that video, the person you were discussing with, that this was sort of the project you were showing there was to California code, and I guess it'd be interesting to know, you know, what sort of changes you've had to make to adapt it to the kind of Canadian context, if you've done that yet, or if that's a process that you've sort of yet to go through, you know, or are there areas where you go, actually, the code is more liberal or more restrictive in this way, and that's making it easier or harder? I think that those sorts of insights which are probably of kind of greater sort of value to us.
Absolutely. Mehdi, I do want to take your perspective also as I dive into the DFMA. Any thoughts so far, the context, why this is being shown? Where is the conversation getting driven, Mehdi?
Oh, thank you. So question for you. So does it take like the B models of the houses and then it shows, or is it kind of like an inspection tool or combination of both?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question? You said,
are you uploading, let's say, the Revit model of the house into the product, and then it do the 3D and like creating the digital twin of the model?
Yes,
or
yes.
Is that the case? Okay.
You're absolutely right. So I'm glad that you brought that out, because the intention is to do an end-to-end construction. The data, as you know, in the construction industry is always disconnected. People are sending their designs to somebody else, and the actual tradespeople aren't really aware. So the idea is to create this unified cloud platform, distributed data in one centralized place. So whether a trades guy is doing framing or some electrical guys coming in, they can actually, through this augmented, not only digital twin, but augmented and virtual reality, they're on their HoloLens and actually go inside and look at one wall and see how that wall is being done. And the reason why we're doing this whole orchestration, centralization, because as you know, trades is very, very expensive. But when you have the data in such a rich, consolidated manner, you can open up the floor for coaching, training, the other graduates that can get involved. to start doing some specific task out there.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just jump into the DFMA. I'm going to start a video, and I'll pause in and out to make sure whether I need to, make it more faster or less, if you will. So I'm going to share another screen here with you now. So are you able to see the screen or here, or maybe I have to reshare it?
Yeah, we're still seeing the previous screen that you shared with us.
Okay.
So I assume these videos can be found in your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, they can be found in YouTube channel, but I'm gonna pause at different ways to set the context and conversation here.
Okay.
Okay, let me see. Are you able to see the screen here?
Margins. So this essentially is the tag to what I'm going to be speaking about in on the Missing Middle Summit, because how we target these lower construction costs, even though I am doing traditional builds, currently the idea is controlling cost through identifying all the inefficiencies, especially when it comes to like procuring materials and certain vendors that we often leverage to get really great pricing on certain things. Like with DFMA, I could see this being like 10 levels more, or more efficient, because now you're adding the controlled environment component, you're adding the set materials. Wastage, I still don't know how you'd calculate the wastage, because now there's wastage on the build, which I'm now trying to control, but then with DFMA, you're gonna have wastage on the manufacturing process.
Absolutely. So now if you can see the workflow, what we're talking about DFMA, it's really from concept to construction. A lot of people do not understand the entire scope, and it's really laid out here on Dfma.build. It's not just only about material, supply chain. It's a combination of all, right from concept design. When you identify a land, you do a generated design. You look at construction strategy, circular construction strategy. You start building components and products, and then get into all the prefab, panelization, modular. Everything is at different levels and different steps. And Dfma.build, we cover the entire gamut. So it's not just offsite construction, or it's not just only prefab panels or modular. It's this workflow that you're looking at end to end is being taken care on the platform, as well as you have a white glove service where our consultants, our experts can kind of take you through that concept design to construction in the entire workflow process using this AI platform for DFMA. But, Courtney, you're an experienced construction manager. You've got several years under your belt. What are your thoughts about this workflow that is being laid out here?
Yeah, you know what? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's brilliant. It simplifies it a lot. I like that anybody that is unfamiliar with the term or the word or the acronym rather, DFMA, can come and take a look at this thing. And it's all really design based, right? You got concept design, schematic design, detailed design, and then you get into the construction. So it really simplifies it that anyone not necessarily with a construction background could understand and see this as a business, as a model, as a structure for how efficiently things could now, take place in the build world.
Absolutely. What I'd like to do is really immediately jump into that, and that's what Dfma.build platform has built for us here. So I'll log in and I'll walk you through coverage ratio. So if I were to reduce the acquisition fee, you can see that, all the numbers are changing. If I were to, and the debt service coverage ratio is growing. So this is like a live app here. So you can do a very quick construction analysis on your project quickly to be able to see what the numbers look like and if this is a deal or not a deal. So that's your first, because everything starts from the deal. Is it really even worth pursuing? That's why we have this construction analysis. Once we cover that, I'm going to quickly jump into the KPI for on-site versus off-site. We have taken into consideration all the different KPIs that one has to look at: on-site labor hours, on-site construction versus off-site. What are the benefits of one over the other? So typically, on an average, you're looking at a project duration 12 months, and in some cases, these are all research numbers. Not necessarily, it would differ from project to project, but this is a framework that we look at when we get into DFMA. Really, how do we kind of save time, on-site labor costs, material waste, material costs, quality, consistency, defects that happen on site, safety incidences that you have to worry about, carbon footprint, total construction costs, and some realistic numbers to be able to see of how we could save per square footage cost. These are not necessarily, it would vary from project to project. These are all forward-looking statements, so please do your due diligence as you sort of embark on a project. But this is a framework that we have, that we look at the on-site and off-site construction. This is super critical to be able to bring this to the front face forward to show exactly the financial impact and summary of benefits that you would have with on-site and off-site. What are your thoughts here, Courtney, that you're looking at this particular analysis framework in the DFMA environment?
Yeah, no, this is interesting. I like how you've taken that deep dive, even starting from the construction analysis, which is like a pro forma of some sorts, to now being able to do, these side-by-side comparisons and then showing the metrics of, how you can save and really the disparity between on-site and off-site, man. I've never actually seen any data presented in a way that's this clear and that could be actually done in real time.
Absolutely. And the whole idea and intent on this AI, sorry, go ahead, Courtney.
I'm just saying it's a game changer, the way in which it's being presented.
Yeah. The other thing is the intent is to tie back all these metrics rather than just verbally talk about these metrics. What are the real benefits, right? At the end of the day. So we hold these metrics like, hold your feet to the fire, if you will. When the construction is happening, how is it all getting impacted on the entire project out here? So as we move along, we get into the real nitty-gritty of how does this DFMA really work? So it's very important that we actually address the componentization. And so I'm going to actually start putting some DFMA components out here. As you can see, this is an exterior wall. So I've got an exterior wall. I'm just going to add some of the components here. You can actually customize based on the different components that you're about to build. So we've got a floor cassette, a floor system. And I'll get into quickly how these things, what is the paradigm of the DFMA side of it as I build this thing together. I have an MEP wet wall. So I've got that, I'm just building my entire DFMA componentization approach. And then I have a
Sanjay.
bathroom pod,
Yep.
which is a sub-assembly.
Yep.
Think perhaps sort of it's perhaps not that useful for us to see sort of the building of stuff, because as I said, we're not going to be using it in that sort of way. But I was perhaps curious in the bit that you ran through before with the KPIs. You obviously had some cost data, and it sounded like there was structural data or what have you. So I was just curious as to where you'd sort of source that information from, and if this was, again, it'd be good to get a clear understanding of what information you've had and used in sort of the US context, if that's also the same in Canada, or if you've found different data sets, because I think that's something that we'd be quite interested. If you kind of managed to gather that sort of cost data in a reliable way, that's sort of for us something that would perhaps be quite interesting.
Yeah, so the cost data, really those components which I've showed there, is something that there are different vendors that I've been talking to that will be coming on board and building these components, if you will. Like you've got the MEP, like a cassette out there, right? And then you have also the external cladding wall panel. They're individual standalone components, and different vendors I've been talking to within Canada itself that have given me some details and stuff like that. I'm talking to a lot of missing middle builders and contractors here locally that might be interested in engaging us to do a pre-construction cost analysis of a modular and prefab kind of thing, and where we would use this platform to be able to assess that cost data on behalf of them. That's where we're at right now. So what we're showcasing here is a framework of on-site, off-site componentization, and to be able to introduce them to the vendors itself.
Right. Okay. And so, just curious sort of what your experience has been working with it. It sounds like you've kind of gathered different vendors, and you mentioned about also, I think, having consultants or design teams or what have you. So is that all presumably kind of external to you, and you just have those contacts kind of ready to go as and when projects arise?
Yes.
Or?
Absolutely. That's the whole idea, that we would act as a DFMA consulting company, depending on how clients would want us to get engaged at a pre-construction level. Is it just assessment of pricing and structure, and assess whether this land opportunity that they have, is it going to pencil out what those numbers look like, or they want us to go to the next level to be able to organize the team, bring in the consultants that understand this whole on-site, off-site construction. We already have a good relationships network of that team. And then also, if they want us to go throughout the life cycle, do a project management, because we have a project management component that takes into consideration the orchestration of on-site and off-site together, of how you can align that on the project, basically.
Okay, great.
And so this also goes to Irene's point. How does this apply to mid-rise construction? As you can see, when you're componentizing and you're using all these different vendors, now you can have a distributed execution. So that if the project might be a mid-rise in Texas, or it might be in Canada, in Milton, it's not necessarily that you're handcuffed to one vendor, because you've broken down the whole construction methodology to that level of external cladding vendor, right? You can have that anywhere now. And then there could be another component, which is more of the framing, if you will. If you want to do volumetric, or if you want to just stay panelized, you can be doing external cladding. You can also then have a floor cassette, a roof cassette, and have those vendors, as we build the relationship and network of all these vendors across the different regions. Now you're reducing the cost of transportation. Now you're addressing that, and that's a huge game changer, rather than spending billions of dollars of creating factories regionally everywhere. Now you've distributed and broken down the whole assembly, and it's really driven by the design, the architect, and the technology platform that they come together up front to do most of the 80% analysis and 20% actual work done, basically, almost like a software implementation methodology. Mehdi, is this resonating with some of the outcomes that might be helpful for what you're doing, at least for affordable housing? I would imagine the intent of the research would be that people can use this to be able to actually see of how they can cut costs and save time and save labor, all those different metrics by applying these principles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Sanjay. I think Ellie covered the question that I wanted to ask pretty well. But to reiterate that, I think there's what you showed us is a great dashboard to see how things are comparable to a traditional way of construction. But we are also interested in understanding of what's behind that dashboard. So how do when you're comparing the cost, for instance, or where you're comparing the waste on site, and I saw that in the dashboard there was also a bit of material extraction from presumably the BIM models. How did you? I mean, how we would like to understand what's behind that, or are you driving it from different tools and then it's just a matter of comparison? The dashboard is a dashboard for comparison only. Or do you have any mechanism to collect the data or also analyze the data?
Yeah, that's an excellent. I'm going to quickly show you that dashboard itself, so that you can see the components, everything of how they're coming together, of how it's laid out here. Can you see this dashboard here?
Yeah. And by the way, I will need to leave in 5 minutes at 12 o'clock. I have a meeting to attend.
Yeah.
But yes, I hope that Ellie and Eric can continue. And
absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to do a follow-on, Mehdi, since where are you based here in Canada?
Ottawa.
Oh, Ottawa. Okay, I'd love to do a follow-up with you and maybe see what the next steps might be, right? But to jump in here from a component perspective, so say if you want to build like a component of exterior wall panel from a bill of material, it's all aligned of what are the materials that you would need, and then it's got unit costs, it's got a supplier manufacturer, and it's got an AI, agentic AI that will match that supplier for that specific material to be able to build those components. Now you can use this component in context of general construction, in context of panelization or modular, it doesn't matter, but everything is aligned according to that whole methodology of componentization, if you will. And then you have modules which are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom type of thing, so that all the materials are aligned accordingly. And then the professional services, you can find local contractors that will do those components for you, whether it might be components, sub-assemblies, bathroom pod, all those things are aligned based on the different components. And then we have an agentic AI search that addresses bill of material and also the professional services. And the project management is an interesting space. Here you can see visually to be able to manage your project and to be able to upfront, as you can see, the yellow mark shows that maybe your project is not properly aligned or you need to move the dates, if you will. And then you have an entire task list that you can have different tradespeople at a component level, and what are the activities that are being done. And here you can see the coordination on site versus off site. All of that is taken into consideration. So nothing is dropped. It's almost an orchestration and symphony of on site and off site out here. You don't have an aha moment, what project, where did it go wrong or something. You can drill it down to a task level, a component level, or a mod level, basically.
Okay, great. So quick question for you. Have you checked in with anyone at NRC or CHMC about this?
No, that's why I said, Mehdi, I'd love to do a follow-up call with you.
Okay.
I know that there would be a good conversation that we can actually start. I am actually talking to New Brunswick. I'm having a meeting with New Brunswick because they're doing a lot of research. So I'm having a meeting with Brandon next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking, but I'd love to be able to follow up with you and see who else might be interested, that we might be able to work with you and pull the research data, because the moment people start adopting this platform, you can start then getting access to that data,
Yeah.
realistic numbers, if you will, real time, basically. I'd like to be able to offer that to you
Yeah.
guys.
So NRCan subcontracted the project. I forgot that the firm who did the work for them, but I think it's available online now. And essentially, that shows all the prefab manufacturer across the country with the capacity and the type of the walls, or the modular construction, or the volumetric construction that they do with their capacity and so on. So
What's it called? What's the website called? NRCat?
It's NR. Let me see if I can find it. I'll share it in the chat. Okay, I'll put it in the chat. It's a prefab construction navigator. The project was funded by NRCan, and I mean, traditionally they have been very interested in the cost analysis, and we are having some conversations with them, and in terms of like the cost, and for sure CMHC would be another avenue that to pursue in terms of the cost analysis for new builds. I'm also very interested in the having the same thing for the you have the CMHC financing, so I assume you would somehow you are connected to them.
I'm not connected to them. This is a application as a builder, a starting builder or developer. They can be onboarded very quickly, and we integrate this directly with the banks or the potential mortgage brokers, because we're looking to build an entire community around this DFMA to be able to address all the needs of a first-time builder or a developer for the missing middle, basically.
Okay.
Right. Any questions, Ellie, from your side, or Mehdi, before I know you have to go, but any other pointers that you may have as next steps? Mehdi?
I think it's a great dashboard. I would be, well, as you mentioned, like collecting the data from different sources and analyzing the data, understanding what's behind the scene and what's happening instead of because currently it's kind of like a black box, but understanding what inputs it got to do the comparison and so on would be very beneficial. And I understand part of it is accessing the data, and that's what we are also interested to do, collecting the data, normalizing the data, or harmonizing the data, and making sure that they're comparable, and then do the comparison. So I think there is some synergy in that area.
Absolutely. And I'd love to be able to create like an API directly that starts exposing and maybe incentivizes some of the guys, because you're doing a lot of energy efficiencies and stuff like that. For CMHC, you need to have that. So maybe connecting your research could be an added CMHC benefit and advantage of saying, if you were to share the data with us for future references, you might get another additional point. And that way you'll have more free access to all the development that's going on, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that makes, that would be, so. Yeah, there are some, I guess, depending on which direction you want to go, we can definitely, I can connect you with some of the folks that are working in the other areas within NRC and NRCan, and perhaps CMHC.
Absolutely, that would be wonderful. Ellie, any thoughts, next thoughts or questions? And Irene,
I need to leave, but yeah, have a wonderful weekend, and I will. Irene and Ellie are going to like chat next week, and then we will sync. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Mehdi.
No, I think that was really helpful. It was good to see the platform, and yeah, as mentioned, I think I'm particularly seeing that, and the information that sort of you have there. Our main interest would probably be kind of what data that's based on, and if, as you mentioned, that how that data changes with increasing use of the platform, if you then, that becomes a little bit more robust or varied or what have you. So just to kind of set out where we are at the moment, I'd say, the project only started January, so we're still kind of probably.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, it's very new. So I think at this point the research is what I'd sort of characterize as kind of broad. So we're looking to speak to, and this has been a really worthwhile conversation. We're looking to have, similar conversations with other, stakeholders and what have you, and get that breadth of understanding and that breadth of experience. And then it will probably be, a few months down the line that we'll be looking at what areas we want to deep dive back down into and get additional, information on. So yeah, I think that's probably the best way to kind of characterize where we are at the moment, really.
Irene, you mentioned about mid-rise. What were your thoughts so far? What you've seen? Do you see the extensibility and the application for mid-rise and high-rise guys also here?
I mean, yeah, it would be really interesting to see how that scalability then works. Because if there you can select like how many times you want to repeat a certain element, and then how that translates into actually big structures. I think that would be very useful in terms of understanding what kind of archetypes of elements go into this type of buildings. But yeah, I thought it was interesting what you were showing.
Yeah, so Irene, that's a really powerful thing that you just brought about. There was one company that was trying to do prefab of getting components. If you think about a library of components and helping around the world, like you've got 1 unit, 2 units, and 3 units type of thing, maybe companies coming forward, whether they're doing mid-rise or like how Canada has come up with templatized, plans, if you will, architectural plans. But what about the research that you guys are doing? And we're more than happy to cooperate with you guys and create some sort of a framework where we have a link, like branded according to your research, if you will, empowering the folks to be able to enter these component details based on their project, and they getting some incentive from the government, because now live data is getting back and it's getting fed back again. So from at a government level, being able to incentivize, let's say a module, let's say just a simple module, right? Energy efficiency. How do I, and I saw Irene on your, the key buzzword, passive housing, if you will, right? Let's say we created a forum. We do a crawl, walk, and run as a starter. How do you create an energy efficient or passive housing and net zero, if you will? So we build an AI calculator where those folks that are about to start the construction are entering this data, and then they're getting some points directly from the government because now they've already pre-qualified, if you will. Not to make it too elaborate, not to make it too, difficult for them to onboard. But with your research, now you also have a tool that you're encouraging the different folks, industry folks, rather than saying, tell us what happened, you just send them this link and we're collecting that data, and then we're analyzing at the back end and creating that back end dashboard for you guys at a research level to be able to give that rich data for the government or for other folks to be able to scale it up from there on, basically. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that definitely, I'd say, seems to be like, potential to plug in with Passive House or Lead or what have you. And if you can integrate that I don't know how well that ties with the research, but that definitely would be something that, I imagine would be appealing or what have you. And I guess maybe off the back of that, I just have a question of kind of who do you see as the sort of target audience for this platform? Is this something for the clients? Is this for contractors? Is this for architects or consultants? Where's the kind of who would we be looking to kind of be able to gather that data from as a tool?
So mid-rise for sure, because there's a massive push towards industrialized construction, buzzwords like MCC, modular, MIC, modular integrated construction, right? So a lot of mid-rise companies, developers that are looking at mid-rise, government agencies for affordable housing, because the moment you start understanding what is a component cost and how you decentralize those components and not have such a elephant expensive investment in factories, because now you've got the product data of productization of 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom at a region level, right there is affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can distribute at different city levels, and the architects also is a great audience, because the architects can now start wearing the hat of how do I build a standardized component while I'm designing, basically. How do I build an individual cassette? Because right now, where the designers and architects are always thinking of a holistic, complete building, which is great. But what if the architects started having the mindset of standardized components of standalone, like a MEP, bathroom MEP, a wet wall, if you will, when they're designing? And that wet wall, how that integrates in the context of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and how it can seamlessly plug and play. Now you've got genuine affordable housing data to mobilize it around the world, basically. So again, getting the industry, so to answer your question, government agencies, researchers, organizations like yourself that want access to this data, give the people that are starting the construction an incentive to have all this AI calculation already done.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to energy efficiency, right? If you want to build, there's a massive, like every company is struggling. I went to one of the Triumph companies. All they're doing is building an external wall panel, okay? Just external wall panel. They've got the sheathing, they've got the different wall panel studs, and then they have the OSB. And now they have to get approved at a level where the cladding has to be put in and the window has to be put in. So we're just talking about an external cladding wall. The amount of effort that they have to go through governmental agency to get just a wall approved. But what if you componentize with all the metrics and all the figures for a certain region? If one manufacturer did that and they were willing to come and participate at a research level, now with some few minor changes on the platform, you can utilize that at another location.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's been really insightful to understand a little bit more about what you're doing. And obviously, as you say, it's a lot of years of your sort of research and investigation. So it's been good to get that sort of insight from that time that you've implemented into it. Thank you.
What would you suggest as the next steps here from here on? I'd love to be able to see if there is some opportunity that I can be of any help and have conversation of how do we create like almost a branded white label for your research project where we're starting to capture data, which is going to be useful for your research project.
Yeah, so I think it's most of us say at the moment we're sort of probably looking more, going broad, and I think those discussions are something that we need to have a little bit more with, Mehdi and more of the team because Irene and myself are both in the UK, so it'd be better for us to have those discussions first with our sort of colleagues in Canada and see what possibilities there are there, and then be able to potentially move forward from that. So I think, at the moment we're still in that initial kind of information gathering sort of stage, and so we'll sort of, if it's okay with you, we'll sit on this, and if you can send us the recording, we can track back over stuff. And it seems that you have a lot of videos, a lot of valuable information on your sort of YouTube and what have you. So I'm confident that there's a lot that we can find out a lot, and obviously be in touch, with any more information that we need to know. And then, as the project develops. It's a minimum 3-year project, so this is, we're not
Oh, wow.
immediately kind of sort of kicking something off. So I think, yeah, if that's okay with you, we'll take
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I'll send you the recording and then we'll continue the conversation. What I'd like to do is also start introducing you guys to some ground partners that are doing a lot of groundbreaking. And I'll give you an example. Cope.ai is based out of Europe, by the way. They got funded $100 million by large partners and stuff like that. So what they do is they take a 2D design drawing and immediately panelize the whole damn thing in half an hour or something, which would take weeks and months for you to panelize. They're doing it in half an hour, basically. I have a whole demo and a video I've actually interviewed those guys, because I want all of these partners that are thinking in that direction to be a part of this community, basically. That's how we're going to be able to reduce and cut costs. And then from a framing perspective, I've gone and spoken to the CEO of Metal Lock that does kit apart, basically. That's a game changer of how they're orchestrating. So I'd like to be able to see of how we can collaborate and have all these partners already a part of the ecosystem, so that when somebody is doing construction, you're not just saying, hey, give us your data. You're coming in with research. You're coming in with ground partners that can actually help you build those components with pricing, real-time pricing. And that's super, super going to be valuable, basically.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think, potentially sort of later in the year, we'll be looking to potentially be in Canada and can look at that point at perhaps having some in-person meetings. They're always sort of quite fruitful with some of these, partners that you've had and that you found. And that would be sort of, I think, something that would be beneficial for all of us to be able to have in-person meetings and, discuss.
Absolutely. I'll start making those introductions and vice versa. You guys can do the same. But I'm most interested in, powering your research data center from an AI perspective, because AI is disrupting so much of stuff. I'd love to be that back-end guy for you guys.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. This has been an exciting conversation. We'll continue this.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very much for your time, Sanjay.
Have a nice day.
Weekend. Bye.
Bye.